Georgia, welcome to the cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's great to be
Exciting
here.
times. The listeners viewers that are tuning this interview, they can see you as Penelope on Reginald the Vampire series on Syfy. What a great fun series, huh?
It is. It is. It's really fun. It kind of it takes the vampire world that we're used to being kind of dangerous and dark, and sometimes gloomy, but kind of gives it a heartwarming push with an unlikely hero who you wouldn't expect to be a vampire.
Right. So we're gonna jump a little bit more into the series in a few minutes, but I was trying to do some research on you and everything, and there isn't that much about you, but what I've gotten is like, how did you get into the acting world? I saw that you went to Oxford University, but then from there, did you go back to Canada? Is that what the plan was?
So yeah, I went whilst I was at Oxford, I did lots of theatre productions, and they have access to amazing theatre spaces there, and it attracts a lot of the agents from London. So that's
Mm,
my first agent from there. And then after living in London for a bit, I went out to LA and met some friends who are actually from Vancouver, and they're like, "Oh, so much is happening in Vancouver." So I figured out that English people can get the visa quite easily. So I was like, that makes sense. And yeah, it's been amazing so far being out here.
what a big difference between Vancouver and LA, huh?
Yeah, yeah, big difference. I mean, you can walk everywhere in Vancouver,
Yeah.
which I love.
Where have you enjoyed working more, LA or Vancouver?
Uh, I enjoy Vancouver. It feels like a very livable city.
Mm,
Reginald the Vampire was actually filmed on Vancouver Island, which was
okay.
a bit more remote, but I guess you're still so close to all the wildlife, which is amazing. But I'd have to get a ferry there, and then we were like in a hotel with everyone, and that's always fun when all the cast is in one place. Feels
Mm,
like kind of going back to college again with everyone in halls.
mm. We see a lot of things that are getting filmed in Vancouver now. Are you gonna be one of those people where you rather stay there, try to work there, and if you have to fly to LA or Atlanta or whatever, you rather do that?
Yeah, I think it's a good place to have your roots here. It's a very grounding place. Uh,
Mm,
so easy to get out to the mountains and to the sea. So I think it's a good place to kind of return to, take a breath and be like, oh, okay. And now I'm ready again to go work elsewhere.
yeah. And what it's great now is too, like, since the pandemic started, everybody was doing like these Zoom auditions. So you
Yeah,
probably like it better now. Like you don't have to fly to LA just do audition. You could do Zoom live or send a self-tape in.
exactly. Now we can live wherever we want to be. I mean, it's handy that you get to work close to where home is as well.
Mm,
But traveling is a great part of the job, I think. It's not many people get to do that.
mm. Where is the best place you've been to and you've worked at?
Um, I did for Legends. That was out in Prague, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
That was wild, like in these old converted houses. Um, yeah, Prague felt a little bit like Disneyland with all these like incredible castles. It didn't feel real, but yeah, that's definitely I recommend going there.
So from the research that I was doing, you still have a young career and everything. You worked on a few projects like Sirens. You mentioned Legends and everything. What's
Yeah.
been like your favorite project that you dove right into that you enjoyed the most?
Um, Maybe I would be saying Reginald the Vampire right now, just because I think it was during the pandemic that we're filming, so you get very close to each other because you become each
Mm,
other's people. I think Siren has always got a special place in my heart because I was there on the show for 2 or 3 years. So you do get very close to each other as well. And some of the stuff we had to do, like being in the deep tank to do all the underwater stuff, that's an experience that not many people get to have. And
mm,
challenging, but also very rewarding when it came off.
that's right. So Reginald the Vampire, what do you think? I want to start off with like, what do you think is the fascination with vampires? People love the shows with vampires, like True Blood years ago. Everybody was hooked to it, and now we have Reginald.
I know. Well, I think it's because they're kind of dangerous and seductive at the same time, the kind of unpredictability of them.
Mm,
And they're mysterious as well. No one can quite read a vampire. You know, in the mythology, the fact that you can't see their reflections, they're kind of
yeah.
these mystical creatures that you can't pin down. and also great seducers as well. And then Reginald the Vampire, I think, is a different slant on that. It's kind of like, well, we're used to all these like glamorous, vain, beautiful vampires. How about we have a different vision of that? And someone who is kind and thoughtful, which traditionally vampires are not.
Right. We're how are you now? The book is the show's based off a book called The Fat Vampire. Is Penelope in the book at all? Did you do any research to see if she was in there?
She appears briefly in the first book to
Okay.
fight Reginald, which we've kept in the show. But then in the books, she kind of just disappears, and it's so there was a lot more opportunity, I guess, in the TV series to kind of make Penelope my own. I would say that the first glimmers you get of her are kind of what you get in the book, you know, this kind of vain, beautiful, vacuous individual. But then as the series goes on, it was fun playing with more of her human side, her kind of her clumsy awkwardness, and also just vying for her leader's approval, trying so hard to impress her and then failing, which that's always funny.
That's great. Like, you know, so did you have any input into the characters since there wasn't much in the book? Like, did you have like go back and forth with the writers and the directors how you want to do certain things with her?
I think it happened a little bit organically as we started filming, because
Okay.
originally they had wanted her to be French, but then when I auditioned, they're like, "Oh, you're English, brilliant. We'll make her English." And then we kind of took that a little bit further, like, well, maybe it'd be great if she was Victorian, and that we did a lot of that with the costumes. And then I think originally when I was cast, you know, Penelope was very much just this glamorous, dangerous individual. But then I guess maybe being influenced by my own geekiness, trying to incorporate a little bit into the physicality of some of the things she gets up to there.
Sorry. So how do you prepare to play a vampire though?
Well, I guess I had my teeth fitting, which kind of helps with that side. So as soon as you put the teeth in, you feel the physicality of it. I mean, I researched and I watched a lot of vampire lore beforehand, but I think the show is a little bit of a departure from that. I actually ended up watching Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, kind of this dangerous, slinky being, which I thought was kind of similar to vampires. So trying to take information not just from the vampire world as well.
You mentioned the teeth and everything. Did that make your voice like change a little bit at all with having that in, or did you find it easy?
It was definitely more of a challenge talking, and then even kind of like doing the bite, because then you've got the bangs on. But you get used to it after a while. In Siren, when we're doing underwater scenes, we have teeth fitted as well. So I think this was my second time around with teeth. There's a scene where I have to do a fair amount of kissing, and that with teeth in was a little bit harder. But yeah, all part of the job.
Yeah. What do you love about Penelope?
I like that she's mischievous. She's always, when she sees a chance to kind of cause trouble, she likes to jump at that. And I think I kind of like how layered she is. You know, at the offset, she seems, you know, like you can read her, but then as the series goes on, you see how she's just as vulnerable and flawed as the rest of us. So it was nice showing those moments where she's suddenly scared for her life or worried about her career.
So we recently saw episode 1 and everything, you know, and you have scenes with Rachel Mora, who plays Mora and everything. Like, how do you describe like that relationship?
Well, off screen or on screen?
On screen.
On screen. Well, I feel like at the beginning we're kind of tag teaming as dangerous beings trying to fight Reginald or snack on Reginald. But pretty soon my character seems clever enough not to mention that actually it was me who bit Reginald, whereas she is not, and Penelope is not quick to save her either. I think we see like Penelope looks after herself rather than
Right.
around her. So I think she sees her more as a functional feeding buddy rather than a close friendship where she has to step in and save her.
Right. Speaking of Reginald is played by Jacob.
Yeah.
How fun is it working with this cast now?
Oh, amazing. He's such a joy to work with. And the first day we were filming, it was that big biting scene. So that was a long, hard night of filming because we had to do it with Alexis out in the alleyway. And he was completely relaxed, very chill, wasn't making it seem like, let's get this done now. And obviously I was a little bit nervous because of all the Spider-Man franchise being like, oh my God,
right.
I've got to bite this guy's neck. Not the best way to be introduced, but luckily he made it a lot of fun. So yeah, feel very privileged.
Right. I know we can't talk about spoilers, but how do you describe Penelope's journey now through season 1? What can you tell us?
I would say she's trying to clean up her mess from episode 1 and get back into Angela's good books, the vampire leader, because she's seen what has happened to Moira, doesn't want that happening to herself. But through that ends up in a few sticky situations, unexpected situations. But you do just see her trying to claw Angela's approval. I think that doesn't give up too much spoilers.
That's right.
It's hard to know what I can share.
Right. Now, for the vampire lovers that haven't seen this yet and they see the commercials and everything and they go watch it on demand and everything, what are you hoping for they get out of this when they tune in?
I think something heartwarming. I think it's going to lift your spirits. It'll make you laugh. Even though I read all the scripts and I was on set, when I watched it, I was like, couldn't stop laughing. But then also you get kind of historical context and you get I guess a whole different vision of the vampire world. You kind of realize a lot of bureaucracy, and for the horror fans there's definitely a lot of blood and gore. So yeah, it's kind of heartwarming but also bloody at the same time. So I think there's something for everyone.
That's awesome. How many episodes are we expecting for season 1?
10.
10.
Yeah.
So what's been the fan reaction so far? Have you gotten like those like weird DMs on social media talking about the show?
Yeah, I think the fan reactions has been amazing. I mean, obviously with someone like Jacob, you're going to get a big reach already.
Right.
But a lot of the Siren fans have been really excited for Reginald the Vampire because I think it's a similar mythical creature world. So it's been really nice to see my fans from Siren kind of coming over and embracing Reginald the Vampire. Seeing the transition from mermaid to vampire, it's been quite fun as well. So
that's awesome. So now what's next for you? Any other projects that you got coming up that you're allowed to tell us about?
Well, actually with one of the other actors from Reginald, he was involved in this kind of like mini web series, which is a comedy. So we just saw the pre-screener for that last night, and that'll be on YouTube the end of the week, which is really cute, warm comedy that's set in a lawyer's office, which is for me, it's my first thing that's just in the normal world.
Right.
Creatures. So yeah, that was a fun experience and nice to work with friends again that I met through Reginald the Vampire.
You mentioned like you've done like the sci-fi vampire siren type of thing. Do you have like a dream role that you kind of hope you could play someday?
I would love to do a period drama and a thing within the world of a period drama. And I do still love the whole like sci-fi mythical world. So, I'd love something that's maybe more medieval but involves that world as well.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of crossover, I think, as soon as you get into medieval stories with like witches and things like that. So.
That's awesome. Georgia, lastly, now how can the listeners and the viewers that tune in find you on social media, keep up with you, with Reginald and future projects?
On Instagram, I'm Georgia_Scarlet_Waters, and Twitter, Georgia Scarlet Waters.
All right, Georgia, this was great. Thank you for giving me a few minutes today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.